The NFL is going to change dramatically over the next few years, and it is amazing if you're an international fan. Okay, so you might have heard of the NFL International Series. It's been going for a few years now. It's actually been quite popular, you know. So this is when the NFL plays regular season games across, well, the world, I suppose. There's been games in the UK, there's been games in Mexico, there's been games in Germany, Brazil this upcoming season, Spain next season. Essentially, look. There's been a lot of games. And if you're an international fan, then you are loving it because it gives you the opportunity to go and see your favorite teams. And what I've found when going to see these international games is that at first, when you go to the stadium, there's basically fans of so many different teams around. It's like a collage of different football teams. But now, as it's been getting steadily more popular and each team becomes more popular and more popular, you're finding like it's got a proper home atmosphere. Last year in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars game against the Atlanta Falcons, it was a Jags home game. That's what it felt like. And at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last year as well, the Buffalo Bills completely surrounded the whole stadium in purple. Or is it blue? I'm a bit colorblind. And there's been lots of talk over the last few years about whether there's going to be an international team. Now let me tell you why I don't think that's going to happen, and let me tell you what the NFL is doing instead, which I think is so much better if you're an international NFL fan. There's an NFL team in London. Now what happens then? Hopefully you have the whole of the UK, especially London, but the whole of the UK getting behind that team, and the sport that is American football becomes more popular in the UK. Now, obviously, it's going to have an impact as well on like surrounding countries as well. You imagine that Ireland hopefully will get behind that team. You imagine that, you know, France and Germany potentially, but I think it's going to be very hard for established NFL fans to go and just change allegiances completely. Now, they can have second teams, absolutely, but would they change allegiance like that? Not sure. And the other thing, of course, is that it kind of limits the potential popularity of the NFL to one region. So yeah, London and the UK might do very well for the NFL, but what about the rest of the world? What about Africa? What about Australia? What about Asia, South America? All of these different parts of the world that potentially could become massive American football fans, but instead the NFL has focused their attention on London. So instead, this is what the NFL is doing. Instead of one NFL team establishing a base somewhere else outside of the USA, well, they're just focusing on spreading their wings. They want to have an NFL fan base here. They want to have an NFL fan base there and there and there and there. I can keep going. So that means establishing a presence in those countries. So yes, in the UK, in Germany, in Spain, in Brazil. Now, what do all of those countries that I just said have in common? Well, they either have hosted an international game or they're going to be hosting an international game. And there's only going to be more. You know, I'm lucky enough that I got into the NFL at a point when the international games had just started. But there are obviously so many NFL fans out there that dreamt there was going to be one game in the UK or in Spain or in Brazil, and now it is happening and it's not going to stop. The NFL owners have just approved up to 9 international games from the 2025 season and beyond. That's including the Jacksonville Jaguars game that they have at Wembley Stadium. So that means that there's going to be so many different territories that are now going to be in the mix to potentially host the game. I've not even mentioned Ireland. NFL UK&IRE general manager Henry Hodgson, he has recently put it out there that this summer they are looking to do a feasibility study. I don't know what that means. I suppose actually it means whether it's feasible. On whether or not Dublin would be able to host an NFL game. France has been mooted. Spain's already hosting a game. Where else? So that's from the 2025 season onwards. But what about the future? I don't think any of this, what I'm about to say, is much of a surprise because it has been rumoured. But it's great to be able to say it, it's great to be able to hear it, and it's great to be able to hear, you know, the most powerful man in the NFL say it as well. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has said that he would not be surprised within the next 5 to 10 years that there would be up to 16 NFL games internationally. Now that would basically mean that there'd be, you know, one a week. So from week 1 to 16, you have got an NFL game abroad. So week 1 to 16 establishes that precedent. This isn't just for 1 year we're talking about. This is for, well, you'd hope, forever. The NFL wants to create that international fan base, and they are doing that by playing so many games abroad in lots of different territories. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you have different countries getting in the mix in several years' time. Now, just because you've got 16 games, in theory, doesn't mean that it's going to be in the same 16 countries every single time, or however many countries. You're going to get different countries in the mix. I've not really even spoken about Africa. I've not really even spoken about Asia either. Two continents, obviously, that are so massive, full of so many people, that I know the NFL is going to want to have a presence in. And in fact, they already do. NFL Africa is already established, and the NFL Academy, there's already one in the UK. They're launching another one over in Australasia, in the Gold Coast of Australia, to try and bring in potential American football players, not just from Australia, but from Asia as well. So this is all very exciting. I'm getting a bit sweaty and a bit worn out just talking about it, to be honest with you. Let me leave you with this. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, has said that he wants the NFL to be an F1 type model. He told this to Sky Sports' Neil Reynolds. Now, if you're familiar with Formula One, of course, you'll know that they race around the world. They race in so many different locations, and that is what he wants the NFL to be. He wants the NFL to be able to be a global sport. Forget about the National Football League. What about the International Football League? Let's not change it to the IFL though. It just sounds a bit weird calling it that. So what do you reckon then? Are you excited about this? Do you want the NFL to go as international as it seems like it's going to? Because in 10 years' time, it could be we've got 16 NFL games all across the globe, and it would be even easier for you to see your favourite team.